Hi guys, welcome back to the channel on a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. I have got early access to Thor Ragnarok. This is a champion that's going to be released on Thursday, so by the time you've seen this video it may already be out, but I've only got temporary access, so this champion will be removed from my account just to let everybody know. And just to be transparent here, I'm going to give a full overview of this champion. I'm going to give my thoughts, my criticisms, the good points, the bad points, and some top tactics and strategies when using this champion. I've played around this champion a little bit today, and I'm finding some great stuff with L3s that I'm going to share with you. But first of all, let's do a full overview. Firstly, I want to talk about his design. The design of the character is very reminiscent to what's going on with regards to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the film Thor Ragnarok. I looked back at some other comic books and kind of ideas where all this kind of can be inspired from, and there's not really kind of different designs. There was a 90s version of the Thor kind of in a Gambit meets Thor type way with long blonde wavy hair. I think it's referred to as the glam period, and it's kind of renowned for just a bit kind of like, whoa, that was a bit out there. But regards to any kind of general design, this is kind of a fresh design. It's inspired by the film Thor Ragnarok. Even in the film, we do see some kind of resemblance to stuff going on with World War Hulk. Now, in World War Hulk, we don't see an appearance from Thor, so it's kind of cool to make something new. Me, as being a comic book buff and kind of interested in that kind of stuff, yeah, I can see the need for kind of going a little bit different, but at the same time, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a Gladiator Hulk, but hey, we all know the story with that. Going back into the game, the general kind of design of the character looks pretty darn decent. There are kind of aspects with regards to this constant. He's constantly moved around. He's like got ants in his pants. He's searching for something. Don't know what he's doing. Batter up. He's got a bat, which doesn't really mean much for this character because it's all based on shock and armor breaks. Okay, so let's talk about abilities. Now, when you get this champion on Thursday, if you get him out of a crystal, you'll find that he'll be unawakened, or if you get him twice, obviously he's 20 signatures on. So you're going to be saying to yourself, right, well, this is going to be a bit of an issue. The 25 seconds we get at level 99 with regards to signature level means a lot. We're going to show you some gameplay in a moment that is going to show that 25 seconds of reapplying those things like shock, stun, and armor breaks are going to mean for some serious ground and pound, like a full-on brawler. And I was quite impressed with that aspect of it. With regards to other things, not so much, but I found myself using constant L3s, and then if I wanted to kind of reaffirm a stun, I would then either do an L1 just to kind of do that. And I used a specific synergy team, which we'll go into and have a look at in a moment. But Thunder God's Wrath is pretty darn impressive. It's one good thing and one bad thing. They're kind of like equal pegged. The percentage levels are not so high, so you're looking to kind of do a good amount of armor break, and obviously each shot can do stuff like reduce opponent's ability accuracy by a certain percent. Obviously this time it's 15%. I'm not sure how this will be on 3 stars and 5 stars, whether or not this will be upscaled or downscaled in order to kind of come in line with the starage level. So let's talk abilities. This ability here, Boon of the Gods. Quite like this. Is what I was using a lot in my gameplay, and that is get a 40 hit combo, and then what you're able to do is build up to max power over 5.5 seconds, which that's pretty cool. And we see some great chaining from having an L3, boom, hitting in 40 hit combo, boom, full power, second L3 on the top of it. This kind of L3 chaining is pretty sweet, and obviously we'll see the gameplay in a moment. The next thing is that obviously if you're on defense, then you can put the champion in defense. 20 hits to that champion means you trigger the same effect. And obviously talking a little bit more about stun from obviously the special ability to this one here, when an attack inflicts a stun, additional 250% of that attack damage as physical damage if the opponent is suffering from an armor break. And obviously we'll see that again in the gameplay with regards to the extent of damage that can be outputted from chaining L3s, as well as kind of reaffirming that stun on the enemy, is making for some great brawling. And I love aggressive play. The specials aren't overly impressive unless you're talking about the SP1 and the SP3. Now that's the thing that I really like, is the extent of stun. Obviously if you've got a higher combo meter, then it means you're going to be more likely 55% chance to get that stun. And then if you're looking at the SP3, then you're going to be adding on some incredibly tasty damage to that. So you're going to get that shock damage. You're also going to be triggering off that special ability, which is going to mean, as I said, for some amazing L3 and then continuing stun effects. And you put a good synergy team together, maxing out things with regards to Black Widow and Hulk and then Thor Ragnarok. You're going to mean for potentially more percentage added on to that 55% or 45% for that extra stun. And a good also mastery setup with improving the stun duration time. Again, it's going to mean for some incredible stunnage. So let's quickly talk synergies. Now, I had immense fun putting the synergy team together over here. First of all, I started out a power gain synergy, which contains 2 Electras and then both types of Daredevils. But I found that this one was the more impressive and the more fun. And that's the thing about making it the more fun. So let's look at the positive effects for Thor Ragnarok. So we've got... unfortunately, we don't have Hela because I really wanted to see a regeneration synergy. Something that I've said from like a long time ago. Can't wait to see eventually a regeneration synergy. That's going to be cool. So obviously we don't have Hela, so we can't test her out, which is a bit disappointing. But hopefully in the future that may be an option. So we've got like all days, a 40% chance to activate a combo shield for 5 seconds when struck. Incredibly helpful if you mess up, and I did mess up a few times. And it did mean that when that came on, that saved my key stat, because then I was able to then go, right, well, there we go. I can then continue on with my combos, and I don't even fear the Reaper with that. The next thing is that Hulk's positives on this, 60% plus attack when Thunder God's Wrath is activated. So we're talking about that L3. As soon as that third special goes in, then that benefits from that plus 60% attack. And again, it showed. With regards to the synergy team I put together, this one here, for whatever reason, adding a little bit of extra armor, not really a big point, but the massive point was Black Widow, a real key to this synergy team. Adding that gain a 25% chance to stun with each special attack was vitally important. The next thing is putting a little bit of extra power gain. It's not going to make much of a difference, but at the same time, it made for a very fun experience. So what was my playing experience like? Well, first of all, I must say that I found the champion very clunky with regards to the way it plays. It seemed like it was very kind of juddery, and it was like having something of a Hulk-like freight train that wasn't overly responding to kind of like hit. But I think I'll put that down to a little bit of player error and not understanding for the first time how I wanted to play the champion, if it was going to speak up to my usual playing, which was more of aggressive. I play incredibly aggressive, and that just suits me very nicely. Once I learnt my lesson, I kind of looked to things like triggering abilities. So we looked at triggering the 40 hit combo, and that how that kind of worked with the champion. And we see this a lot in my gameplay that I did, in that as soon as we hit that 40, we were then hitting that power gain. And it was learning my lessons with regards to getting a building up to say about 38 combo, hitting in an L3, and then kind of riding the then ability triggered at 40 hits to then a full combo meter, a full power meter to then hit in a second L3. And this is what I was talking about at the start of the video, about L3 chaining. And we were chaining from one L3 to a second L3. If I felt that I wasn't able to keep the champion stunned long enough, then obviously that synergy team helped, and applying that L1 constantly meant that I could just put him under a bit of a perma stun for a huge rate of time, which then meant that we were putting in a great amount of damage. You can see the health bar just kind of dissipating away from Winter Soldier, which was incredibly good to see. So what champions do I recommend going up against Thor Ragnarok? Well, I've chosen these as my top picks: Dormammu, my boy, and Magic, based on the fact they're very good at power locking and power burning. And as well, Vision, to a degree, he's alright, he can power burn, and again, very loosely with that, the reason being that if he's quick burst to get that to that L3, then you're going to have to work fast, whereas Dormammu and as well Magic can really lock down that power, as well as Psylocke being a good option for that. With regards to facing off against him, if it's going to be a case that he's in defense and he's going to get that power just so quickly, then there's nothing really you can do. So maybe champions that are going to help you out with that stun. If he's going to be more likely to stun as well as he's going to inflict a potential parry, because let's face it, if there's an auto block in, then your opponent is probably going to have the mastery of parry up, which means that as soon as you, well, run at the champion, he's going to stun you. So it's probably best to then use Mordo. The reason being that his Astral Evade means that you'll be able to get out of that stun very quickly, and can be a real asset, especially going up against a champion that is going to get an L3 regardless of whatever you do in a very quick rate of time. But obviously if you hit the champion whilst they're doing that kind of boon of gods thing, then obviously you're going to stop it. But at the same time, you have to consider that you may be stunned if you used any other champion bar Mordo in that circumstance. But it's up to the player what you choose against this champion that you feel is good to keep the power at bay and also avoid those auto blocks and that boon of gods. So let's talk about my final thoughts. Now, I liked the aspect of Hela being this kind of regeneration synergy. Granted, we didn't get to see it in this video, but hopefully in a future video we're able to look at that, because I'm quite impressed with it. The main impressive thing that I really liked is the L3 chaining. So we went from one L3 to a second L3 just like that, and it was all about kind of patience, looking at the combo meter and understanding what's happening. At the same time, if I wanted to create a stun to keep the champion stunned more, then I would do an L1 or build up to that. One of the biggest negatives about this champion is that he's nothing without the signature ability, and as well doing those L3s. That's really it. With regards to like striking, L2, heavy attack, there's nothing happening there. And that isn't really good, because I'd quite like to have like other things going on about the champion that is good with regards to if the heavy attack makes a difference, does it not? Does it mean that the L2 makes a difference? Obviously, like if we compare it off to say Blade, the L2 is one of the best things about the champion, as well as the signature ability. But you could do without the champion being awakened, just focusing on things like the L2. I guess a positive and a negative at the same time is armor break. It's good to see that the old scheme of armor break from the old Thor is then brought over to the new Thor, but with regards to new champion like this, maybe something with Fury, maybe something with Unstoppable could have been a little bit of an extra addition to this new kind of original champion for the game. I can really see this champion being used for a lot of kind of lower leveled end game content, so like Realm of Legends, maybe even like some stuff with Road to Labyrinth, especially if we're looking at a huge amount of shock output. But I guess bleeding and poisoning seems to be something of kind of a plus point if you're doing that. Other than that, it would be just questing that this champion would be used for. I think that he would be a definite asset to things like these challenges with life transfer, and you could see him in a good chunk of Act 5. But would it be Labyrinth for Legends? I'm not 100% sure with that, unless there was a huge output at 5-star with regards to his damage. So there we have it, guys. Thor Ragnarok. An amazing champion for L3s, and obviously amazing when he's awakened, which, you know, it's a bit disappointing because if he is unawakened, he is a little bit average. So that Thunder God's Wrath, the L3s, using the L1 as well, seem to work pretty darn well, and doing that perma-stun, or trying to get off that perma-stun, similar to what I've done before with Hulk, and speaks towards my aggressive playing style. But I then throw it over to you, the audience. Now, what are your thoughts on Thor Ragnarok? What aspects do you like about him, and will you be going for him on Thursday? Answers in the comments below. I've been RichTheMan. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content, and I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye bye for now.